things differently. And I think that we need to impress upon people that homesteading is really about individuality. It's about us figuring out what works for us. And I also think we need to make sure that people understand that homesteading, if you're going to homestead, you can't be afraid.
Right.
You've just got to just suck it up and do it. And
You've got to jump.
yeah, and that can be little. I mean, that can be little or be big, or that, you know, however you want to make it work. It works, but
It was Andrea, Ben and Andrea, when we met them from
VW
VW Family Farm, that they had gone to Baker Creek, I believe it was, and they said, we found our people. And so we very much feel that way. We found our people, and it's so cool to have similar goals, to have like-mindedness is a big thing that people are saying, and have similar goals, and to be able to support one another in those goals.
Yes.
Even if it's just a cry on your shoulder because I have to sell my goat that I love, or we lost a goat, or or something didn't go through, or our plants didn't grow, and we're just ready to pull our hair out.
And I feel that way too, even as, just as the homesteaders, period, in general. Like I say, the like-mindedness, I like that. Plus, I can get on and somebody might be in Canada going through the exact same thing I'm going through, but they're a step ahead of me. Or I might be a step ahead of them. And just commenting on that video, hey, this is what we tried. You know, didn't work for me, but you know, steer clear of that. Or hey, this is what we did and it worked great. We got from one of the videos that Rachel watched about how to save a baby goat from freezing. She watched it, and Lisa Marie is still alive because of that video. So I mean, the videos, I mean, even if you're not close, it's more of a, like I said, community. One of our subscribers, I thank him for subscribing our channel. He said, God made us neighbors, YouTube made us family.
Awesome.
And he comments on almost every video we put out. And I've never met the man. We watch a lot of his stuff, he watches ours, and we just comment back and forth that way. So,
one of the things I think about the YouTube homesteading community is that for every homesteader that's on YouTube, there's hundreds that aren't.
right.
And so I kind of feel like we're the spokesman for a huge community. All of us that have YouTube channels that do this, we're the kind of the face of the people that don't have YouTube channels. We're a spokesman for a huge community in our country right now that is growing.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And it's growing. I agree, and it's growing like wildfire.
It is. And, you know, and it's something, you know, that Gary and I have been working towards our whole lives.
Right.
Working towards. But like we told you all earlier, if we had known some of the things that we have learned now, back in our 20s, when all the health crisis and we lost everything and had to start from nothing, if we had known, we did great then because of the things we did know. We were able to feed ourselves and make sure that our kids were fed whenever it didn't look like it was possible on paper.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we knew how to grow things, knew how to butcher, and knew how to take care of things. But if we had known what we know today at 24, 25 years old, 23, 22, holy cow.
Right.
Yep.
Holy cow.
It would have been a game changer.
It would have been a
Absolutely.
game changer.
Yeah.
And so if we can share that and make that, give somebody else a little bit more security, and I hate to use the word security, but that's really what it is.
Yeah, and I don't think it's as much about knowing the exact skills as it is the permission to
Do it.
to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
To say it's okay to do this.
It's okay to have this kind of lifestyle. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to look like
Right.
This.
something else.
Right.
Yeah, this may have been the dream you had.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked a little bit about this earlier. We had these dreams, we had these goals, we were reaching them, and it just seemed like that was just still,
Yeah,
it
never
wasn't
enough.
enough.
Never
and
enough.
there was the next goal.
Yes.
The next goal. You go in for an evaluation at your job, and they say, oh, you've done a great job, you've mastered this, now this is your next goal.
Right.
You
Right.
never achieved.
Yeah.
You never reached it. And it was
Exactly.
just like, it was just always, you were always grasping for it.
But
Yep.
and I feel like homesteading, especially our style of homesteading, that every time we sit down to a meal and say, you know what, everything we just ate, we grew.
Yeah.
that you have achieved and you have accomplished, and that it's a very finality to it, because I grew this food and I've eaten it.
Right.
You know, and there's
And
something
that
accomplishment
is
about that.
kind of how we got started. Rachel made breakfast one day.
Yeah, that's when I got the fever.
She got the fever because she looked down at the plate and she looked at me and she said, "Do you realize everything on that plate came from our farm?" And that was really a game changer for both of us. That, oh, we can do this.
It's super neat to go in there.
It was a
yeah.
small plate,
Yeah, but hey,
Right.
but
it was a plate.
hey, it was a plate, and we had nourishment,
Yeah.
and from there we have been able to grow it and grow it and grow it, and the knowledge that we're gaining every day.
Right.
And that's what, with YouTube, like you say, so many people, we're kind of the spokespeople, we're the face of homesteaders at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can share just that much of the knowledge that we have, will help somebody else to achieve their next goal, like I say, to master the next level, then I feel like our purpose has been met.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
If we can help one person,
Yep.
then we've succeeded.
I agree.
And
I
we're
agree.
part of a homesteading community that's not on YouTube. We've got many friends that do the same thing that won't even be anywhere near our camera, you know, that are living the same lifestyle just without the camera in their face. And they will watch our videos and then they'll say, hey, and not comment on anything, but they'll just come to us when they're having conversations and say, hey, if you did this different, or did you know you could do this, or and they're giving us advice that
Right.
then we're able to pass along
Yes.
to other people
Right.
on our videos, not only use ourselves but keep passing that knowledge on. And
So you become the voice.
yeah,
Yes.
and I think that's really cool.
Yes.
I really think that's enjoyable.
Well, and also just showing that homesteaders are normal people.
Yes.
There's such a stigma that comes with homesteading or even off-grid or things like that. There's a stigma that, I've had, friends, because this is way different for me from where, for both of us, from where we were 10 years ago. 10 years ago, like
way
we were
different
talking about.
5 years ago.
Yeah, I was chasing that corporate ladder. I was climbing that corporate ladder, and some of my friends from that world are more like, do you realize what you're doing? Why are you doing this? I'm so sorry that you're in this position. And it's like, no, don't be sorry for this. Is the position that I've put
So this is
myself.
the position
want
we
to
have
be
built
here.
for ourselves.
So there's this negative stigma, I think, sometimes that comes with homesteading, that we get to show that it's not. It's kind of like you said, the permission, that it is okay to live this type of lifestyle, and I think, honestly, I feel like it's way more rewarding than reaching a corporate goal,
And I've had people tell me that I wish I could do that. I wish I could do it. Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
It's just like anything else. They have to want to,
Yeah.
and they have to work for it.
And
Yeah.
they can start with a little bitty cup.
Mhm.
They can grow a lettuce. You can grow a lettuce plant and provide lettuce in this cup. You'll need soil, you'll need seed, and you'll need water and sunshine. And you can grow lettuce in this cup. You can
Hey.
grow 3 radishes in that cup.
Right?
And I
You know.
think that the excuse, well, I've never done that before, and I've told you guys, well, I never had either till the first time.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I think that has to be your attitude when you're homesteading, is you just have to figure it out and do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that fear of failure, getting past that and saying it's not a failure, it's you learn one way that it's not going to work.
Right.
And
Right.
keep building on your skills. Keep
Right.
building on your skills.
And you may be paying for your education,
Yes.
but that's okay. I mean,
I've been to the school of hard knocks most of my life.
yeah, yeah,
So I mean, what's one more
right.
hard knock? I mean, if you learn, it's not a mistake if you learn from it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, we took a huge jump this year and we planted thousands of seeds this year to grow in our greenhouse. And we tried different mediums, partially because of what was available, what we could get a hold of. And we found what works and what doesn't work, and what worked best and what didn't work best. And We learned from that, so it was not a waste. It was not a
Right.
fail. It was a learning experience.
Yeah.
And when you change your attitude, when you change that attitude, when you change that,
Perspective.
yes, perspective, it totally flips it. You're like, it's okay. And luckily, praise God, none of us are going to miss a meal because of it at this point.
Right.
At this point. But, you know, for some places in the world, that's true. You know, if their crops fail, they're going to go hungry.
Right.
And that's the heartbreaking truth.
Speaking of meals, can we talk about your meal?
Oh!
Oh,
Oh
yes,
my
that
gosh.
meal today was amazing.
Yes, we came and we were treated to grilled pork chops and salad dressing, and everything was from you guys' homestead, and that was awesome. Awesome.
And not just
And we
grilled, but
appreciate
grilled
it.
over an open pit fire.
Yes! Yes!
That was awesome.
Oak and hedge coals.
See, it was amazing. It was amazing. Y'all are jealous. I can see it.
And if you're not, you should be.
Yes.
And what people have to understand too about homesteading or anything in life, what works for us in our greenhouse might not work for somebody else. You know, and some people, and the homesteaders don't feel this way, I don't feel like, but so many people are like, well, this is the way it's got to be done, and you have to do it exactly like this every single time for it to work. Just because you can use this type of soil in Kansas doesn't mean that the same people,
Right.
other people in Georgia are going to be able to
Right.
utilize the same type of soil to grow the exact same crop. It just, everybody has the different ingredient they have to learn to adapt and just kind of steal from the Marine Corps to adapt and overcome.
Yeah.
Right, right.
And that's what we're doing in life as homesteaders is we're adapting to our environment and our society, and we're overcoming the shortages and the expense by providing for ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the cool things about homesteading and a lot of those food ways that we practice is I would never, at my skill level, at my career, I would never be able to afford to eat the way we do.
Right.
But with adding homesteading on top of my jobs, we eat good.
Right.
And you know, I think that's cool. My son and I were talking this weekend, and the idea, the American dream of what we've made it today is not what it was 200 years ago.
No.
But if you look at the immigrants in the time of the French and Indian War and the Revolutionary War when they came here because there was an opportunity to get land. They came here because they could get out from under the king's oppression and they could go make for themselves.
Right.
And my son really likes to learn about the French and Indian War and those homesteaders in that era, and that they didn't care if they had to fight Indians, they didn't care if they had to fight blizzards, they just wanted to go do for themselves.
Right.
And look at how many of them they lost. They lost children, they lost spouses, all for that dream.
Right.
And I think that is rekindled in the homesteading movement today, is we just want to learn, we just want the ability to do for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't need the government telling us how to do things, we don't need the government protecting us, we just want an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's pretty cool today.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that is the homesteading movement today, and that we call it homesteading, just like the original homesteading movement. That was the goal, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome.
I would love for my heart I've really been broken for the inner cities, for food deserts.
Yes.
There are so many empty lots, rooftops, there's so much that can be done. And I don't know if it's true in other states, but in Kansas, you can buy seed packets and I believe plants as well with your food stamp cards.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, one tomato plant, a $2.50 tomato plant, yes, you're going to have to add water, but you could stick a bucket under the eave and catch your water to water that thing
Yeah.
with.
We do.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to, if you're in town, you're going to have to find soil. that's going to give it fertilizer, and you might have to add, but you might have in that plant $5 to $10 total throughout the whole season growing that thing. But if it gives you 10 pounds of tomatoes, or even 5 pounds of tomatoes, it more than paid for itself.
Right.
But you can do some part of homesteading where you're at, even if it's growing your own herbs there. I think I get into that. A lot of our homestead movement came from, number one, it's what we knew. Number two was necessity. It's okay. We've got to feed ourselves. We got to pay our bills on X amount of money a month. What can I do that's going to improve our life, improve the quality of our food? How can I provide that food? And look at that through the frugality part of it. And I mean, because I'm going to be upfront and super honest right now. We fed our family on a taxable income of $1,100 in 2001, and we had 2 children. I was pregnant, and Gary was very sick, and we did it. And weren't missing much. I mean, really.
We did happen to be living on a quarter section.
We did have a 160 acre. We did have an 160 acre farm. So that was a business expense. Our farm lease was a business expense.
We lived on that.
We lived on, but we could forage when we were in Oklahoma. So we foraged a lot. We we just did a lot. And
I think when you go through times like that, when you go through hard times, that there are things that make you feel impoverished.
Yes.
When you go and you have to count out, okay, I've got $16 and that's all the gas I can put in my vehicle.
Yep.
That makes you feel impoverished. But when you come home and you eat a great big old deer steak and asparagus and a fried morel mushroom,
Yeah.
that makes you feel wealthy.
Yeah.
It really does. It makes you feel good about being provided or providing for yourself.
Well, you've gone from feeling impoverished to empowered.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
And that's the thing people need to understand is you might not have monetary,
Right.
but if you can feed yourself and you have your faith,
Yeah.
you have everything you need.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, that ties that in. For us, that's kind of a worship. It is a worship. When I am out there feeding those baby goats their bottle, they're just so stinking cute, and you're like, you just can't help but say, God, thank you, because they're just so cute. And I'm a nerd. I like to go lay down in my garden and lay in the dirt and look at the plants and watch them grow. It brings me joy. It brings me and I know that it's by the grace of God, because it could be a hailstorm, and I've had it happen, and wipe it completely flat. We went to Baker Creek last year and had a huge majority of the big garden planted and all of the little garden planted. And the girls called on our way home and said, hey, we're getting a hailstorm. And I lost over half of what I had in, and we had to start over on a lot of it. Came home from church one day, and the pigs had gotten out and root up the whole little garden.
Oh, no.
We had to replant all our potatoes and all of our onions, what they didn't eat of the potatoes. It was kind of,
Yep.
it was, that's part of the homestead,
Right.
It's part of it,
Yep.
And
Welcome to the farm.
welcome to the farm.
One crisis after another.
Yes. One crisis. And we can make it, and we were talking about this earlier, is like, people say, well, why didn't you show that? When you've got like you said, when you got a goat hung up, and it is life or death for that goat. If I go get that camera, that goat's going to die.
Right.
If I take the 3 seconds to turn the camera on my cell phone, that goat's going to die. It's strangling, or it's on fire, or it's whatever. And I don't have time to recreate it for you guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to. But, and sometimes there are things that are a slower drama. A sick animal. We struggled with our chickens. Our chickens got MG and another bacterial pneumonia and a virus. and we did a rookie mistake. We bought chickens and did not quarantine them long enough.
Yeah.
And we brought sickness to our chickens. And we put them in there, and we lost 7 chickens, and it cost us $200 and something, almost $300 by the time we bought medicines. We had to send animals off for autopsy. I mean, that was not, I mean, we're still paying that. Luckily, our vet's nice and lets us pay it out, you know, and so it's like, because we didn't take the time to keep them quarantined for 14 days.
But again, lesson learned.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah. And
you'll.
Yeah, but I've been so heartbroken over it, I haven't even shared it. You know, it's just kind of been.
And the pigs like eating eggs every
The
day
pigs
instead of
like
us
to-
eating them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we spent over a month and a half, almost 2 months, because we would do one antibiotic for 10 days, and then they'd have to be off of it a week. Then we'd do another antibiotic, and then they were like, and then they got sick again, and they still were getting sick. It was like it would knock it down enough that they were living, but they kept getting sick, and we would lose 1 or 2 each time. And then finally the vet's like, we got to bring me 2, we're going to euthanize them and ship them out today. We got to find out what this is. It's going to be expensive, but we're all going to learn something. Okay. So we did. And so I took one of the new ones, and I took one of my old ones, so that it would be a good biopsy.
It's a good test.
A good test. So we learned that the chickens we brought in had the 2 kinds of bacteria and the viral, and they had 2 different kinds of worms. And then our chickens from our flock had the 2 kinds of bacterial and the viral, but not the worms. So now I now got to kick in the monthly worm treatment, because these birds are going to pass those worms.
You're right.
Our birds are going to pick them up. And then I was studying today. We've got the leg mites now, so I'm going to have to start treating for leg mites. So it's like,
It's crisis management.
it is.
We wait for it to be a crisis, and then we manage it.
it. But it's always something. It's
Yes.
whether you
Yes.
get your goats born when it's cold,
Yes.
like Lisa Marie,
Yes.
and you got to nurse them back, or they get hung up in the cord.
Yep.
Or
Well, and then we had a perfectly healthy little goat just pass the other day. She was fine one day when we
Went
went
out the next
there,
morning to
and
feed, and she was gone.
she was gone. And still don't know what
Yeah.
that was about. And
I had that with my milk goat last year. Yeah. Checked her water at 2, because it was the hottest day of the year. 2:30. Checked her water, and 6:30 go out to milk her, and she's gone.
yeah, it's crazy.
Gone. And it's like, yeah. And then I get another milk goat, and we didn't think she was bred, so we were going to get rid of her, and got another milk, and then bought Myrtle. So we traded Buddy for Freckles, and then Freckles we didn't think was bred, and then so we bought Myrtle, and then Myrtle developed the CL, and in the meantime, Freckles never shows a drop of being. She never sprung, she never mucused, never nothing showing that she was gonna have a baby. She just looked weird to me one day, and I go out there, and sure enough, there's a dead kid. It's been dead a day or 2, and it's like, you know. And so our guess, because she wasn't engorged or anything, our guess was she just didn't make enough milk. I mean, that's a guess.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
Because it's not they're not likely to dry up that quick.
Right.
And so then we took everybody to the auction. We'd already planned that Freckles and the 3 Billy kids would go, and then with the CL, we've learned how, it can be deadly to humans. If you get that in your mucous membrane, the pus, if it ruptures, you get it in your mucous membranes or in a sore, you're gone.
Wow.
They'll make you comfortable, basically, is what they can do for you. You're gone. And so it's like, okay, because it just wrecks your lymphatic system. And it's like, okay. And so
That's scary.
it is scary. So, and lots of people are like, oh, it's no big deal.
Stupid goats.
I know. Stupid goats.
Cattle are better any day.
But anyway, so we got rid of Myrtle, and So we're finishing up our milk. We still have milk, and then we're going. Hopefully, we've been watching and buy-sell trades and seeing for. But we learned what to look for. No mercy buy. And the one thing we did good with her was we did keep her quarantined, mainly because we didn't want the milk taint, the billy taint. Because if you keep your milk goat too close to the billy, you get that billy taint, and that's when your milk tastes goaty. Because it'll cause her to make hormones. It'll cause her to cycle, and then it's going to come out flavor in your milk. And so,
Learn something new.
yeah.
I already learned that on Marco.
Yeah, well, I don't have Marco.
But yeah, so oh my goodness, we got a really long interview.
Yeah.
But, so I guess we'll wrap it up. But you got
Yeah,
something?
it was good to interview you
Yes.
guys, and I'm
Oh,
sure
yes.
we'll
Thank
keep
you,
talking.
guys.
when we
Oh,
shut the
yeah.
camera
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Definitely.
But well, thank you for coming to Pathways and for
Absolutely.
visiting with
Thank
us.
you for
today.
having us.
Yeah,
Yes, thanks for having us. It was awesome day.
And again, this is Rachel and Rusty from Robertson's Belly Acres,
Yeah,
and
go-
we'll put a link down in the description.
Go check them out.
Go check them out. Go check them out.
Thank you,
They
guys.
are fun people. We're having a blast.
Yeah. And if you need to learn how to repair a skid steer, go watch Rusty's video.
There you go. Or grow a big, huge tomato patch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for watching, y'all, and have a blessed day.